What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Grow with Dro. In today's video, we'll be going from seed to harvest with Red Hot Fritter from Robinhood Seeds. And if this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. My name is Dro, and I'm a beginner grower. I probably got about a year under my belt, and my channel is about the journey learning how to grow this plant that we all know and love. So let's get into it. So I go back and forth with my germination methods, direct sow versus paper towel method. For this grow, I decided to just pop all 6 of my beans using the paper towel method. I just wet the paper towel, fold it over the seed, and put that wet paper towel into a Ziploc bag. Wait a couple days and you'll be good to go. Now I always use 70-30 cocoa and perlite in my grows. I normally use either Mother Earth or the Canna Cocoa brand, or just Canna brand. This is my first time using the Fox Farms Cultivation Nation, but I'm real big on using whatever's readily available. I'm not with the long waiting times. Whatever my local hydroponics or grow store has is what I'm grabbing. Now I like to start all of my grows in these smaller pots because I can just throw them in a tray and water them from the bottom super easy. As you can see, it's been a couple days. All of those beans have sprouted. So I'm just gonna drop them into these pots, mist the top, try to get that humidity high, and wait. And you can see after about a week, only 2 out of the 6 have really come up out of the dirt, which is not a good sign. So we're just gonna go with 2 for now. So it's week 2 veg, and not a lot has changed. Plant's still super small, but that's the benefit of photo periods. You can take as much time as you need getting them right in veg before flipping the flower. Luckily, another one of our plants survived, so we're gonna add it to the grow. A 50% germination rate is not great, but we work with what we got. And I mean, one thing I love about photo period plants is just how resilient they are. You know, you can make mistakes and bounce back. Now you guys have to forgive the big jump in veg here. Sometimes you just gotta put the camera down and focus on the plants. And that's what I did for a couple of weeks. But we're back now. All I did over the last 3-4 weeks is I transplanted into 3-gallon pots, and I was top watering, hand watering, and I realized that I was tripping, and so I got another auto pot system. At the end of the day, the product that you get is going to exceed the cost of any auto pot system that you buy. So, you know, it pays for itself after one use, and it just simplifies the grow so much. So I'm throwing some mycorrhizae in the pot, getting these into some auto pots, and getting that watering automated. I don't want any problems going in the flower. And so far, I'm liking what I'm seeing. So I'm just going to take a clone or two from each of these. Whenever you're growing quality genetics like this, you got to make sure you keep it rolling. There's no point in one and doneing these. Again, especially if you're rocking some Robinhood seeds or Square One genetics, keep them. What I try to do is I try to find one pheno out of the grow that I like and just keep that one as a mother. That way I can kind of not dedicate too much space to all of the mothers that I have, but still keep those quality genetics that I know I'm going to want to have for years to come. So I threw a trellis up. As you can see, these plants were getting tall already. I really don't want them getting out of hand. We're flipping the flower. And so you know how that goes. They're going to want to stretch. We got to nip that in the bud right now. And as we go in the flower, these are the nutrients that I'm using. Can of cocoa A and B, a little bit of cow mag, and some Canna Boost in mid to late flower. Now you can see right off the bat, they've disrespected the trellis. They're going for that light, and I gotta do something about it. No, I'm not mad at an aggressive strain. But I got these clones down here, and they definitely need to get out. I mean, it not only grew taller, but it got bushier. So I need to do a little bit of a defoliation as well. And the stretching got so crazy that I decided to throw up a second trellis. And you can see the plant on the right has already fought through that. So I'm going to try to bend it down and keep working it towards the outside so the canopy can be as even as possible. And after 4 weeks of flower, I cannot contain these plants. So I've been working the inner membranes of these taller stems, and I'm going to super crop them. And as you can see, they sort of stretched out around the light. I've been bending them that way. You can kind of see the bends in those stems, but it hasn't stopped them from stretching like crazy. You can see here what happens when you super crop and snap a top off. It's not a great feeling, but comes with the territory. One thing I know I need to be better at is just doing a deep defoliation and lollipopping. Like I lollipopped below that second trellis, but there was just so much material that wasn't getting light that I didn't really think about or pay attention to until the harvest, when I really noticed how big the difference was. You know, I could have lollipopped all the way up to the second trellis and directed a lot of that energy to the buds. So, I mean, even a year in, still making little mistakes. You know, growing is enjoyable, it's fun, you know, but it's a skill set that you got to hone over years. And I'm learning that. But I'm also enjoying the process and enjoying the fruits of my labor for sure. Now, to all of these phenos, you can kind of see that one in the back left isn't stretching as much. And the buds look a little bit bulkier. This is the pheno that I ended up keeping. So I called it pheno number 1. This is pheno number 2. As you can see, it has a little bit more of those purples, a little bit icier, if you will, with the trichomes. And this is pheno number 3. And this was a super crop branch here. You can just see I'm putting pressure down on it. It's not going anywhere. It's crazy how these plants can grow at a right angle. You can kind of see where I super cropped it and it just fought back up. The cool thing about that is those lowers right underneath that main cola get a little bit more light because they're sort of spread across that branch. So that's pretty cool. But pheno number 1 is looking ready. You know, all of these are still putting out white pistils. But the crazy thing is I'm seeing cloudy trichomes with a little bit of amber. Now, I don't know if this just wasn't enough light for all of the canopy. You can see the plant that laid down, half of it didn't get light. So I think I'm going to give this about another 10 days to 2 weeks and then get them out of here. And all through late flower, the only smell that I'm getting out of this tent is straight up cherry. I'm talking cherry lozenge, right? If you ever had, I think it's called Luden's cherry lozenges, that's what this smells like. And it's one of those that you gotta watch yourself, because I found myself reaching in there just to get a little whiff here and there. I cannot wait to smoke this. If it even remotely tastes like it smells in this tent, I'm be growing this back to back. And that's a hard thing about creating content. You want to do stuff that keeps people interested, and you want to do new things, popping new beans. But this was some quality stuff. This was some good stuff, man. And it's just crazy. I'm just supposed to sit it to the side and grow something else. I don't know. So y'all let me know. Would you watch a YouTube channel if they only grew one strain, but they grew it in like different ways, right? Everything that's going on with seeds, that is potentially going to go on with seeds, has me a little concerned. I'm holding on to my clones a little bit longer than I usually would. I'm making space for more clones, getting my nursery situation together, thinking about doing some breeding. So it begs the question, do I keep popping seeds? Or do I just run with the clones that I got? What do y'all think? Anyway, we started the harvesting process, and this is where I can really see the crazy difference between the parts of the plant that got light and the parts of the plant that didn't. You know, this was in a trellis, so I wasn't getting a really good view into there. And it just shows me how high I could have lollipopped and defoliated better to maybe even have gotten more out of the plants. Either way, we're going to chop these down and we're going to hang them in the same tent that we grew them in, as close to 60 degrees Fahrenheit and 60% relative humidity as possible. I mean, look at that color difference. It's crazy. But if you watch my channel, you know that we don't let anything go to waste. Everything below that light line is going to either be processed into some butter or some coconut oil to make the infused recipes that I make. I do have a cooking channel. If you're into that sort of thing, come check it out. And the rest of it will probably get frozen. Let me make a little bit of rosin. We'll see. But after 2 weeks, we're all dried up and it's time to trim. Now, the first thing I do when I trim is really try to determine where those tops are, like those grade A buds that I want to put in the jars and prioritize and separate those. And then I sort of start going lower to see what's going to end up in jars at all and what's going to get processed into other things. So this was pheno number 1. This was my favorite pheno. This is the mother that I kept. They all surprisingly had the same smell, same terps, even though they didn't look the same. And I liked the way pheno number 1 grew and the structure of the plant and the density of the buds more than the others. And so that's why I decided to keep this pheno. Now I kept pheno number 2 as well because I really like the color on it. It's just got that lovely deep purple with that icy white trichome heavy sort of deal. And I think because it was in a crowded tent and stretching crazy, you know, the buds didn't nug up like maybe they would if it had enough space. And so I'm going to grow this again and maybe grow one in a 3x3. This was pheno number 3. Tasted fine. Nothing to write home about in terms of growth structure when compared to pheno number 1. But the terps were very similar again. They all were just straight cherry. The smoke did come through like the smell, and I don't think these are genetics I'll be getting rid of anytime soon. I had a lot of fun with this grow. Hope you guys enjoyed it too. Catch you on the next one. Peace.